A spotlight is, I was using ZBrush before Spotlight came out, and I can tell you, ever since Spotlight has come to the forefront, it's become my best friend when I'm poly painting or texturing on models. It's fantastic. It's underneath texture. Let's grab, say, this texture one and click this button right here. You see that? It's kind of hard to see, but it says Spotlight. That's it. Add to Spotlight. Now the light box will come up. So we're just going to comma key that so it closes. So this is importing the JPEG that was in that came standard in ZBrush. It was just there. I can use that, and you can do everything you want to do on this particular any colors in here. You can sample. You can use it for sculpting. You can use it for the painting. I generally use it for painting. There are a number of different controls in this. This is your control wheel, your control dial. As you mouse over each one, you can see what each one is called. This is spotlight radius, opacity, fade, tile proportional, blah, blah, blah. And it just goes right on through. Now, the ones that you're going to come in handy come in the handiest is this one, which is scaling. This literally scales the image up or down because that's how big you're going to project it on your model. All right, so I can keep scaling it up. When you go past a certain point, then it's become too big. It just writes it off the screen. But let's say we want something like that. Then I go to the opacity, not fade. Opacity merely is creating a transparency of that particular image. It allows me to see the model a little bit better, so I know where I'm going to position certain colors or whatever in reference to the particular model. Okay. So fade actually fades the colors themselves. It fades how they're going to go on the model. Almost never use fade for anything. Always go for opacity, just so you can see what the model is going to look like, enough so you can see your image, okay? Now what you can do is, I'm moving this dial around by clicking inside of the little orange ring, and that moves my dial around, just so I can get an idea of what's going on behind the scene. If I want to move the actual image around, all I have to do is go outside of that ring, stay into the core, and I just left click and I hold, and now you can see I'm moving my image around. Okay? For instance. So let's say we want like right there. All right, if I hit Shift Z, and then Z, I can now turn the RGB on. Obviously, you want RGB on. Turn off the Z add. Let's go ahead and get just to our standard brush, just as an example, so you can see what's going on. And now I'm coloring this on. You can see it's actually being affected. All right. And believe me, we are going to get into this, but this is just a quick precursor of what's going to go on. There you go. That's actually painted information. The beauty of this is once this is on the model, guess what? We can color sample it. If I hit my C, boom, I can now paint right in that color. See, I can paint in that color. I can grab that slight gray. See, I'm just seeing it. Here we go, right in there. See. See. That's the beauty of it. That's how fast and interactive this thing is. I'll tell you what, this has saved me such time and effort working on models. When I used to have to hand paint everything, every scale and whatnot, the advent of Spotlight has just made it exponential how quickly you can get things painted. You can use, if you had some nice scales, etc., for instance, and you wanted to scale the skin, you could use that as a basis for what you're dealing with, for coloring this in, and then paint the little areas that you need to. By the way, just to show you too, by the way, this is using the freehand. If I changed my color stroke, and let's say I'll go ahead and do V, and I'm going to sample this color. See, now when I paint, check it out. So that's the color spray, and this is just the spray. Now, just spray is sampling the two main colors, the main and the secondary color down here. If I hit my V key, now you can see it's Sampling that out. You get some really nice effect with spray and color spray. If you dot something, you're literally just getting a dot that you can move around. I'm just left clicking. I didn't let go. As long as I'm not letting go, I can drag this all over the place all day long. Once I let it go, that's it. And then I have to do it again. Oh, let's do a quick, just so you can see it, we're going to do a draw rectangle. Let's go and do a circle, and we can do a draw rectangle. That creates that particular thing. And you can just do it deeper, harder, like that. If you hold your shift key down, of course, you can blend between them. As you can see, oh, here, check it out. Shift key blends that right out. Again, ZBrush is one of those that, honestly, I don't know too many programs that have all of this covered to such a degree. It's really a one-stop shop. I know I say this to all my students when I'm working with it, that it really is one of those programs that is just phenomenal, and it is one of those programs that if you know how to use it and know how to use it well, you'll be an asset in any company that hires you. So it's one of those that try to get the most you can out of it, certainly. By the way, with the Z plugins, we are going to look at a couple of different things under the Z plugins. There's going to be a decimation master that we're going to look at using, and a 3D print exporter, because a lot of people are nowadays doing a lot of modeling in ZBrush, and I myself am doing it, where I'm modeling characters and then they're being done strictly for 3D prints. But the problem is when you have a 30 million poly model, for instance, most printing companies are going to have a hard time with something that high. Most printing companies like about 1 million polygons for a model. And Decimation Master is what we will use, and we will go into it a little bit later. But Decimation Master is one of those where we can take a 30 million poly model and we can drop it down to, say, 1 million polygons, and it will still retain the look and the feel of everything going on. It will no longer keep the wireframe the way you built it. It'll no longer keep the UVs and things like that. That doesn't matter. We're decimating it down. We're knocking out the polygons to get to what we need, so we can provide the 3D printer a file that they can use, an STL, which is what this 3D print is, where we can actually export an STL. We can do Vermal too. We can do just OBJs. We'll do an STL with the model. And the Decimation Master is what we'll use to pre-process our model. Once that's done, we'll decimate that model. We'll then take a look at what the polygon count is. We'll get to what we need, which is about 1 million polygons. And then we'll actually export the model as a 3D print model, so you could have it and use it for whatever. Just so you know the steps. So if you want to do your own 3D prints, you will model something. We'll look to do some poly painting on it. We'll decimate it down. We'll export it as an STL, and it's good to go for any 3D print. Using whatever particular, whether using a resin or a liquid or a powder form for printing. In fact, I was just reading the other day where some of the printers are now full color 3D printers. So again, anything we look to the color and paint, we can actually have them printed in full color so that everything we see here would be replicated perfectly. All right? So we covered a lot of the ZBrush user interface. In the next volume and the subsequent volumes, we're going to actually apply what we've been looking at, what we've been examining. We'll actually apply it to a model for real production purposes. All right? Okay, thank you very much for watching 3dmotive.com. Hope you've had fun.